Quiet.
Hello. Hi guys, how you going? Hi folks, and welcome to Wild Safari Live and Big Cat Week here on the Djuma and Arathusa Game Reserves in the beautiful Sabi Sand, South Africa. My name's Hayden Turner.
I'm Peter Pretorius, and the beauty of this is that we really are live. We got caught here with a few seconds going into it. So that I just love that. For me, that's one of the beauties of it. It's just that it's really real, and that we can have a laugh about it. And it's hot. We're sitting in the sun here. I mean, the only thing that's maybe not real is that normally we'd be sitting in the shade because it would be a bit cooler. It is absolutely beautiful. I was going on yesterday, sorry, H, it's one of my things always. I say it's like a picture postcard.
Oh, for sure.
And yesterday was that postcard. You could look anywhere and it was just this perfect blue sky, little clouds, and today is quite similar.
Very similar. Beautiful. 32 degrees Celsius, 85 Fahrenheit, but it feels more about 34-ish to Celsius to us. We've got a few things to do today. Pete, you're going to
just
follow
have
up.
the same thing to do every day. Just go look for a leopard.
Yeah, true. It's always like the subtext or the foundation of the day or the afternoon, that's for sure for us. What direction are you going to head, mate?
I'm going to start with, well, just go look at the buffalo kill where the lions left last night already. That we don't think they're back there. We think they might be in this area, but it's very tricky. Because of the rain the other day, the ground is still quite hard, so you have to find special places for tracks. So the guys think they might be here. I'm going to go just past the carcass just to see anyway. There might be hyenas, vultures, maybe the lions are back, just see what's going on.
Yeah.
Check the closest water, although there is water everywhere now. And then I'm going to head west a little bit, just go look around.
Okay.
There was a mention of the possibility of seeing Shadow, that very shy leopard as the name suggests. So I'm going to look for her, and otherwise, just see what happens. I mean, that's a great thing. I don't know what's going to happen really either, to be honest. So let's just see what happens along.
That's exactly what Wild Safari Live is all about. You don't know what's around the next corner. We see it all the time. Last night when I drove around the corner and that blonde male was sitting there, it was just incredible. I was saying,
So you didn't say anything about that. The blonde male lion in the road. Yes, great. I love surprises around the bend. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to look for surprises and just enjoy the. It's really just stunning afternoon. I mean, jokes aside, we've got this amazing African blue sky, which is stunning. The moon is getting bigger every day. We're going to end on about full moon. I think the last drive for Big Cat Week will be very close to full moon, which is great. We're going to be around the fire. I love being out. I plan my camping trips personally often when we go expeditions and things into Namibia and so on around full moon because you've got light at night. So that's quite cool as well.
Absolutely beautiful. We've got VM on camera here on Pete's vehicle, and we've got Brian with us today here. It's great. We sort of swap around vehicles, and it's great to work together. We've got a really great team in the control room. Will, Graham, Alex, Jason, and loads more people around the world bringing this to you live in Big Cat Week, which is really, really exciting as well. So without further ado, I'm going to head down to a couple of the water holes, mate, and check out them and see what happens.
Cool. Sounds like a plan. Have
Take
fun.
care.
Guys,
Have a
enjoy
good
it with
one,
us.
guys.
You can
We'll
ask
see you just
questions.
now.
We'll talk about this now. And yeah, let's go have fun.
Might be good to get off.
Yeah.
That could be a fantastic
plan.
start.
Yeah.
Take care, mate.
Cheers, have
Cheers,
fun.
VM. Oh, other way is good too.
That's also a possibility, but don't worry, it's got gears either
See ya.
direction. All right. Okay, let me just get my comms on. Yeah, guys, I mean, jokes aside, I do like to be a bit light-hearted about all of this. I've, to give you a very brief history about it, just make sure I've got all the things up and down. Okay. VM, are you hearing Will?
No.
Okay, just check your comms there. Because
I don't plug it in.
yes, that will fix it. Don't worry, Will. We sorted it out. VM was unplugged. And unlike Eric Clapton, VM works not as well if he's unplugged. So we've got sound on VM now as well. And I was just going to say that, you know, years ago when I was 18, 19, just after I spent about 8 months traveling in the States, I started guiding. And my original plan was to do it for about 2 years, just to get the experience, see the wildlife, experience this adventure. And I ended up pretty much to some extent or another still being in it 20 years later or 19 years later. And always the thing for me was, and working in lodges and things, you know, along the line, people ask, don't you want to come into management and be involved in this and be involved in that? And I always just, my standard answer was always, I want to be out there looking for the lions and elephants, driving the Land Rovers. And that was always my line, and it still is. So it's very important for me to share with you that being out here first and foremost always should be for the adventure of it, the fun of it, the enjoyment of it. That's why we should be here. You know, if people are unhappy while they're on safari or on game drive, you know, they should think again. Like Led Hamilton said, big hero of mine, Led Hamilton, really nice guy as well. And you know, he said something about surfing. He said if people don't get that, they should go sit under a big tree somewhere and just think for a while. And it's a bit like this. If you don't get the enjoyment of this and the adventure of this, and that this should make you feel better, you should go sit under a big tree somewhere and just spend some time thinking, because you will find that you'll probably find that place where we need to be. So that's just my little 2 minutes or 5 cents worth for the afternoon. Guys, as I said just now, you can ask questions. We like you to ask questions. It's nice to have a conversation. That's what you do on game drives. And when we get to the big game, we look at them and we enjoy that. But at the same time, a lot of it is just to enjoy this together. So you can do so by emailing to questions@wildearth.tv or tweet at #SafariLive. And always nice to know where you're from, nice to know your name, and nice to know what you'd like to ask us. Or comments. Comments are also very welcome. Like you could say, Peter, since you are the guide or the ranger, you need to pay attention to what's going on around you. Like, don't drive past a whole herd of kudus looking at you. Stop and have a look at them. I like this little herd actually. We've seen them a few times on quarantine. Look at that female. She's got beautiful stripes on the side. It makes like a sort of three-pronged fork almost on the one side. She's very pregnant as well. She's going to have a kudu calf probably in the next, I don't know, week or two at the most. You typically find that your larger antelopes, kudu, waterbuck, that's the sort of the bigger ones. They tend to have the young ones slightly later in the season. Your impalas and then the wildebeest and so on a little bit earlier in the season. What a stunning afternoon. Beautiful, beautiful afternoon, and as HT said, the temperatures, but it's a very pleasant temperature. I mean, some days it can be 30 degrees, 30 degrees. So quick look at these guys. Maybe behind the bush there, but let's see, you should come out the other end. These guys are in the same family or the same, he's going to stop now, typical. There's another one. They're in the same subfamily as kudu, the ones we just looked at 10 yards back. And also a beautiful name actually, Nyala. It's one of the names I considered for my daughter, Nyala, Nyala antelope. And they also like the thick stuff, similar to kudus. They browsers, they eat leaves. Other ones in that subfamily, some of them we do see often on the live drives because they're so shy. They're called bushbuck. And also one of my favorite animals. Live drives because they're so shy. They're called bushbuck. And also one of my favorite animals. Those of you that have been on drives with me many times before, you know that I've got a lot of favorite things. You know, so I've got lots of favorite antelope and lots of favorite birds and so on. But the bushbuck is just really beautiful antelope. A smaller version of the Nyala almost. And then at the top of that subfamily, the biggest one are eland, which we don't get in this area specific. I mean, they could be here. They could walk from the north into this area. It's all open, but we don't typically see them around here. Big antelope, biggest of the antelopes actually. Big eland bull can weigh a ton, as much as a big buffalo or a black rhino. Okay, we're going to go through Philemon's Dip, and I'm just telling you about it because you're going to hear a pump just now. This is where they pump the water from. There's a borehole here that they pump the water up to Boyatela Lodge. And one of the places we find leopard every so often. This is a place that they like to hang out. That's it. Water is obviously crucial for any presence, for humans at least. It's actually quite fascinating how many animals are either fully or at least to an extent water independent. People don't always realize that. Even lions and leopard are water independent. They don't need to live where there's water available every day. They can go for long periods of time without water. I'm just looking at the tracks. There's some of the tracks left from last night still from those lions. Yeah, we couldn't find them this morning. Sure, still quite bright. It's still at time. Every day now you can see things getting greener and growing from the, as I said yesterday on the drive. Two great combinations, water and sunshine. And we've had both in perfect balance the last few days, so the plants are happy. You can almost hear it growing if you listen carefully. Just going to pop in here at the buffalo carcass. As I said, my gut feeling would tell me that they're not going to be there. I think these lions have actually just had enough of being around here. Maybe also the fact that they've killed 3 buffalo in this sort of immediate vicinity. Maybe they are also aware of the fact that other lions might arrive at some stage. Although I saw something very interesting last night, just before the end of the drive, and I mentioned it to those of you that were on drive with us. The sunset safari, and that was that as the lions were leaving, the black male, and the others might have done it as well, I just didn't see them, but it was scent marking. He was doing the typical facial. They walk into the bushes, like a bush like this, and they'll rub their face, on the side here they've got the whiskers, and they'll rub it into the branches, and that leaves a scent. And then they normally turn around and they just spray like a little squirt of urine onto the bush as well. And it's quite a confident thing to do for nomads. So it's not like they against the possibility of announcing themselves in the area. So maybe they're just starting to flex the muscles a little bit, because at some stage or another I do think that they are going to take on some of the lions in the area. I mean, they might still be nomadic in the sense that they're going to move totally elsewhere, but at the same time they've been around now for a while in this general area, to the point that we get to know them. Oh, I can see a hyena, I think. I'm getting close to the carcass now, so it's maybe almost impossible to see. What is that? Yes, I think it's a hyena, but let's get closer. We're not going to see it through this. It's through the leaves here. So there's definite intent from them to stick around and to establish. Actually, let me show you this. Tracking is great fun. It's not always the easiest with the way we share this with you, but if you can see this one, VM, just under the bush where those scratch marks are on the ground. Just there, you can see nicely how it's been scratched, and that's from the lions last night. So as what he would have done is he would have walked and rubbed his face into those leaves. So that would have been for his facial markings. Then he turned around, sprayed a bit of urine onto that bush, and then dragged his paws. They've got these glands in between the nails as well, in between the toes, interdigital glands that they scent mark with. Okay, well, we're just coming up to there is the carcass. We'll see it just now. Oh, this was the wrong turn off. Anyway, it doesn't matter. You definitely see a hyena here somewhere in the background. I know Scott saw quite a few of the hyenas this morning at the den, so obviously there's food close to their den. Where's it gone now? Gone away. Well, it seems like he knows, sorry. Maybe they've walked away. Whew. Got a smell to it. Let's just have a quick look. I mean, we're not going to stay here long. This hyena seems to have walked off now. But between the hyenas and the vultures, they'll finish this over the next few days. And that's quite an interesting view there. If you look at it again, you can see the white marks on it. You also see myself and VM there. Very crisp shadow outline. It shows you how clear the light is this afternoon. So yeah, there's still a bit of food left in there for hyenas. Actually quite a bit of food. A rib cage, the skin even if need be. Okay. So I thought we'd see that hyena, but obviously it's decided to give us a bit of space. I'm not too sure about the vehicle. I'm going to take you to Treehouse Dam next, which is just down the road from here. And sorry guys, I'm talking, but I want to make sure that I'm checking carefully as well. I'm pretty sure these lions have left now, but you never know what might be just chilling somewhere in the shade. Always good to look around. Not just good, essential as well. I mean, that's how you find things. So we're just going to have a look at Treehouse Dam. See what's happening there. And we're going to head to the west. Feeling that we're going to be surprised by something this afternoon. It feels like one of those days where we're just going to drive, talk a little bit, look around a bit. But somewhere we're going to get something surprising us. So we are moving on. Whoa, VM, can you see that perhaps? Sorry, we'll talk about that just now, but following a bird in flight is always tricky. But that one is being chased at the moment. That's a gymnogene or a... forgot its new name now. They changed the name a while back. A beautiful bird, one of my favorite birds. They've got these amazing sort of dexterous legs, and they can turn and twist their feet in a way that most other birds can't. And that enables them to even hang upside down under nests and against cliff faces, and put their feet into nest and pull out little chicks or things that they can catch, their squirrels or things like that. So understandably not very well loved by always going into the sun. They're beautifully followed, VM. Oh, I love that. That looked awesome. Nice one. But there was a bird chasing it, and as we found it, the bird flew away. It was a fork-tailed drongo, and it was harassing this gymnogene. Sorry. For a split second I thought I was looking at a leopard, but it was not. And the drongo is, many of you again know this bird. It's just little tenacious birds, and it's just harassing the gymnogene until it flew away. So at the carcass back there, just for those of you that missed it, there wasn't much going on. In fact, even the hyena that I saw as we approached disappeared by the time we made our way in there. But just the signs of what shall we say, the signs of passing, I guess. You can see the dung marks on the carcass from the vultures, and I'm sure later on there will be more animals feeding there. But I think that's done, and the lions might be around. We're going to look around for them closer to sunset. At the moment, with this weather, lions, especially if they've got a belly full of buffalo after 4 days of feeding, they're not going to be doing too much until much closer to sunset. So if they are around, I mean, one of two things: either they've left out of the area that we can find them, which is not that likely. We had a good look around for tracks. A couple of the game drivers, Ephraim as well, and always Ephraim is, if someone's going to find the tracks, it's Ephraim. So there's probably a 50% chance that they're still in the sort of general vicinity of Moetela Lodge or Gowrie Dam area, and that's where we will look closer to sunset. It would be nice to see those boys being a little bit active, walking around and doing their thing. Hello, Lynn. Lynn is asking, what is the most elusive animal in the reserve? So it's one of those questions that you can answer in so many ways. Well, we're obviously going to stick to big animals. We're going to keep it sort of, you know, Jack Russell size or bigger, you know, sort of small dog or bigger. Probably pangolin. Pangolin, I would have to say, is one of the most elusive animals everywhere. I mean, I've seen a pangolin twice in my life. Yes, twice. And I know the other day, for instance, this is how I know there were one or two people wondering about the second buffalo kill. That kill was actually seen by Texan and his guest Lex S, the guy that I mentioned. They were right to the other side of the reserve, looking at lions or something, and they got a radio call from Leo Ponting, who's one of the landowners here, and they said they've got a pangolin, and it was in Philemon's Dip, there where we just drove past the pump house. And Lex and them, now Lex has done this for, I don't know, 30 years. Guided in, you know, everything from Londolozi to East Africa and all over. He's a great photographer. And they said immediately, let's hit the road. And they traveled all the way to come see the pangolin, because most of his guests who'd also been here many times have never seen that. And en route to that, they bumped into the lions, and yeah, the ensuing drama. And that's not the third kill, the one that we saw live. It was the second one, the buffalo that we just visited. So it's been an incredible run for that. But most elusive ones, so probably pangolin. Civets can be very elusive. Most reserves, you would have to say leopard. You know, when you think of the obvious big animals. I mean, we're just very spoiled in the Sabi Sands that it's some of the best leopard viewing in the world. Okay, well, Trias Dam, nothing at first glance. Let's just go up onto the on the wall here. We've got a slight elevated position and take a minute or so just to look around. It's always a good thing to do at a waterhole. Like that view. Two Egyptian geese swimming away. They'll be nesting here as well. Well, not here. Geese normally nest some distance away from the waterhole, and then when the goslings are hatched, they jump out of the nest after, I mean, not straight away, but a little bit later, and then they walk to the water and they raise them around the water, but they don't actually nest on or next to the water. They nest some distance away. Flicker the tail and dry again. Beautiful leaf here in the foreground. This is what we call a blinkblaar waggebikkie in Afrikaans, and that means, literally translated, a shiny leaf, wait a minute. And if you look at that one very carefully, almost in the middle of the branch you're looking, you can see the thorns. It's got one thorn going forward and one thorn going backwards. I'll tell you about this branch just now. That one's a bit far for me to get to, but you could actually see that shiny leaf. It's got almost like a laminated leaf, if you want. So a shiny leaf, wait a minute. And then in English it's called a buffalo thorn, which I don't actually know why it's called a buffalo thorn, come to think of it. But I'll show you something about that tree in a bit, because it's a very important tree culturally for a lot of cultures, the Shangaan people, the Zulu people. That's a good one. Thanks, Will. Will just let me know. He thinks it's because buffalo back into it to protect themselves. That is something that they do. I've seen it with kudu as well. They will back themselves into, well, there's a lion in the front end, they'll get whatever they can at the back end. But acacias, coniferas and so forth, buffalo thorns would work. At least then they have to only fend off on one side. We're going to slowly move along. Water, not much happening at the moment. There's lots of water everywhere at the moment, so that does explain it. So your big animals, buffalo, elephant, we'll still use the bigger water. So we are going to head west into the setting sun. Always tricky to pick birds. That was a black-headed oriole, that call, but it was quite close, and normally when they're that close they fly off, which they did before we could have a look. So close but no cigar. So bright at the moment, you can see very sort of stark contrast between shadow and light. This is because we have this very, very clear sky. I was just thinking, for some reason it pops into my mind, but lions have got great adaptation for light conditions. Obviously for night vision they've got much better eyesight than we do. You've got your cones and rods, which are the two elements to the eye that sort of helps with seeing colors and picking up light. They've got a very good combination to see in low light, much better than we can. But they also have adaptations on the actual eyelids. And I know especially in American football, I think some of the players do that sometimes. They black out the bottom parts, sort of the lower parts of the eyelids. And that helps a little bit to reduce glare. I think it also helps to make you look a bit more intimidating. And they're not that 320-pound man running at you with a big helmet on and padding at full tilt is not intimidating enough. But they do those black markings underneath to help reduce glare. And with lions, they can close the eyes a bit more, and the eyelids are very dark underneath them, and that helps reduce glare. And at night, if they open the eyes wide, they got these light, sort of light white hair under the eyes. Not white, but like cream. And that helps to get more light into the eyes. I was just thinking that would have been quite handy to have built into my eyelets. That and the jungle cat reflexes, I wouldn't mind that. Right, wow, we can next up for a view up ahead here. I think we've driven a little bit, not much has happened. I think this will be one of those days where we must just enjoy the beauty of the landscape. And then as we get sort of late into the afternoon, as it cools down, we'll find that the activity of wildlife picks up. So speaking of enjoying views, let me give you a bit of a view here. Just look down that way. See some mountains in the distance. That's part of the escarpment. We always just basically that horizon there. We often look at the Blythe River Canyon area, which is slightly more to the west of where we're looking now. But all those, call it the front layers, excuse me. So the first two sort of ridges you see, that's all part of the reserve still. Further out towards the mountains, not anymore. Excuse me. But do keep in mind that Sabi Sands Game Reserve, this area that we are in, is on the western side of the Greater Kruger National Park. So later on, if we get a view looking towards the east, in other words, looking into the Kruger area, I'll talk about it again if we get that view. I mean, you never know what the afternoon brings. But so even though we are not far from the edge of the reserve, we are part of such a big area, and that's very crucial to understand, because 6 million acres, you know, it's a bit like understanding what Mr. Bill Gates is worth. You can put a number to it, but you can't really understand it. I can't really comprehend that. And it's a bit like that with 6 million acres. You can understand that it's big, but to really appreciate the size of it, sorry, I'm just trying to jog my memory here. Well, maybe you guys can help me. It's the size of one of the states in America is a perfect comparison. And I'll either remember just now, Will help me remember. But it's a massive area. New Jersey, thank you very much. It's the same size as New Jersey. So for those of you guys living in New Jersey, the same size as that whole state is the Kruger National Park. And it's important to realize that, because that means that even though we might get to know certain leopards or certain lions or certain animals here, they are part of a totally open and free-flowing system. And that's important on many levels, you know, from a genetic, you know, variety point of view, and, you know, not getting inbreeding and natural selection and survival of the fittest and all those catchphrases. proliferation of habitats. So you get many different kinds of dung beetles, tiny ones up to big ones. I've seen dung beetles that are this size. You drive into them, and I'm not kidding, and they hit you on the forehead and you're bleeding. You don't need stitches, but you need to clean the blood for a little while before it stops. So you get massive dung beetles, small ones, little ones, purple ones, shiny ones, black ones, brown ones. And the last quick thing, because I met the director of the Jocko the Bushveld movies the other day, Duncan, fantastic guy. He was here just with Lex and them. And if you're into literature, for those of you that collect books, one of the classic books of Africa is Jocko the Bushveld, the story of this dog that was in this area, actually, in the Lowvelds in Kruger. It's a brilliant story. And the early editions of the book, they've got pictures and they're little drawings. And the very early editions, it's got the dung beetle pushing the ball like this, on his back legs, pushing it with his front legs. And later on it was corrected. This is one of those little trivial things which I always thought is fascinating. So if you ever find a Jocko the Bushveld early print, and the dung beetle pushing the ball is pushing it like this, grab it, because that's quite a valuable book. Quite a nice book to collect. I mean, most people collect books for the emotional value rather than the financial value of them. But away from books, back to wildlife, and HT is going to show you a couple of things around Buffelshoek Dam while we continue on west. See you just now.
Folks, apologies for that audio glitch there. Sometimes these little tiny hiccups occur with the topography that we go through, but as you can imagine, broadcasting live from the middle of the bush in Africa can just sometimes have its little hiccups like that. We've just stopped at this beautiful waterhole here called Buffelshoek Dam, and there's some beautiful hippo activity here. When I say beautiful, I mean there's a couple of the youngsters in here that are very, very cute. Have a look at this guy over in the middle. He hasn't quite got his courage up yet to pull his head out. There he is in the middle there. He's just pulling his head up out of the water for a couple of little breaths. He should come up quite soon. We're just going to sit here for a few minutes and watch these guys. So beautiful just to see them. There's a lot of babies in there. Well, when I say a lot, 2 or 3, but we don't see them that often. And we're just going to sit with them for a little bit and watch these beautiful creatures. I wouldn't mind being a hippo right now, actually. It definitely feels hotter than 32 degrees Celsius, 85 Fahrenheit. It feels much warmer than that. The sun is baking here at the moment, and those hippos definitely are enjoying that cool water. Just sitting at a waterhole sometimes is quite a beautiful thing to do, and just wait and be patient. And there's no rush. You really do have to try and immerse yourself into the habitat. I find it. Oh, there's lovely little calves there. We're going to really have a look at those. They're getting a little bit more confidence now. But sometimes when you sit at a waterhole, things come to you. Animals need to drink, and particularly, as we all know, but when it's a day like today, they will definitely make a concerted effort to get to a good water source of clean drinking water. There's been a fair bit of rain, as we said, so there is a lot of little pools around the bush at the moment that they might be utilising as well. But you'll definitely get situations where elephant will come down to these water holes and really rejoice in the deeper water. and get into that deeper water and have a bit of social time, and especially have a wash and a drink, and then get out and dust bath and do their thing. It's a beautiful thing to watch, very enjoyable. So you never know, sometimes you just sit here and these things occur. You'll see one individual arrive. You never know what's around the next corner, as we always say, and it's definitely worthwhile just sitting for a little bit. You can talk about loads of different things at a waterhole, but I really want to have a little discussion about these hippos, because these calves are just beautiful. Very relaxing. Really beautiful creatures. Just scanning around the bush with my binoculars here. It's always good just to have a scan around the waterhole with your binoculars and see if there's any predators, maybe asleep in the shadows or in the shade of a tree somewhere, waiting for an opportunity to arise or being presented with an opportunity. But also just good to put yourself down and be static for a little bit and wait, and you just don't know what you can see, but things start to appear more and more and present themselves to you. Birds, loads of different birds, and we'll have a talk about them now as well after we talk about the hippo. But one thing I wanted to just tell you is you really need to try and catch a great premiere tonight on Nat Geo Wild for Big Cat Week called Lion Gangland. It's at 9 p.m. Eastern. Absolutely amazing documentary and really, really worth watching. Lion Gangland at 9 p.m. Eastern tonight on Big Cat Week on National Geographic Wild. And I think that's a really great thing if you can get to do that, because it's a great doc. We've got ourselves some hippos here, and you can see just on the back of that bull, he's got a reasonable injury there. It's actually could be. I'm just not sure if that's his mum or not. Might be I think it's the bull, but just being skirted there by a youngster. I'm not sure. It's really hard to tell. You just got to see the size of the head and the prominence of the head. But the females can have just as many scars as the males. It might be the female actually. But there's a lot of youngsters in there. So the calves, there's some very, very small calves. You can see this little guy sticking his head out of the water just here. Brian's panning across to. Just popping their heads up. So you get most calves that are born around this time, just before the big rains, after the sort of first rains in this region. And it's an 8-month gestation period. So after 8 months, the mother will actually go off and seclude herself from the rest of the herd into a little pocket of the, if she can that is, a little pocket of the dam or the river or wherever she lives, and have her calf, depending on what the location is. Now sometimes they can have their calves on land, and sometimes they can have them in the water, in the shallow water, so it really does depend on what the situation is. They'll probably stay away from the herd for about anywhere between sort of 2 weeks and just over a month. They'll stay away depending on the concentration of hippos and the structure and how intense the hippo situation is. Basically the population is very dependent on that, and then she'll bring them back in, but she'll skirt around the edge of the hippo, very, very protective, as you can imagine. Hippos are, oh, there's some beautiful calves there, so tiny. They're probably just touching the bottom at the moment, so it's quite shallow water in that area. One thing a lot of people think is that hippos actually swim. They're quite buoyant in the water, but what they do is they actually run along the bottom when they submerge, and they sort of trot along the bottom in this slow motion, looking like a swim, but they don't actually sort of swim as we know it, as we think. So they're probably just touching the bottom there. The babies may also be just standing on the mothers or leaning on the mothers. So they're beautiful. We're just going to have a little look around. There's a beautiful bird over the other side, sunning itself, a grey heron over there. It's quite a ways off, but it's a beautiful bird to have a look at. And we've been building a bit of a bird list, which I think is really important, to have a look at the birds as well. Not just the mammals. There's loads of other things in the bush we really need to take note of. And that is a fantastic looking bird. Grey heron, beautiful hunter, specifically adapted to hunting in the shallows and using that long bill to either spear fish or grab fish, or invertebrates, or even amphibians for that matter. So this is what you can see, a great shot of it. I've got my little bird app here that Brian will just come to now as he comes off. It's just going to pull back from that and just show you this bird app. I'm just going to try and shadow it here for you, just so you can see that bird. That's what it looks like. That's a juvenile, and that's the adult with those beautiful feathers, that black sort of lovely sort of headdress on the back there, lovely fanned feathers on its shoulder. But then this is what the call that they make, and this is the great thing about apps. If I can turn that up a little bit, it might be a bit of a help. And you will hear that sound around waterholes quite often from birds like the heron. We had Egyptian geese in here before. We've got some beautiful cormorants over there on the other side. Lots of different birds around water points, and it's always good to just sort of sit around and enjoy that. So what we might do is just sit here for a little bit longer, folks. We'll cross to Pete and see what he's up to, and if I see anything arrive here in the next couple of minutes, I'll come back to you. Otherwise we'll move on. Let's cross to Pete and see what he's up to.
Well, welcome back this side. As you can still see, very sunny and bright out. We're up here close to the airstrip. It's one of the places we check every so often for cheetah because, firstly, it is back. You can still see very sunny and bright out. We're up here close to the airstrip. It's one of the places we check every so often for cheetah because, firstly, it is Big Cat Week, so we'd love to see cheetah. And cheetah, they're not so common in this area because it is quite thick bush. Sorry, these are the crown plovers or lapwings making noise here in the background. We'll try and see them just now, but no cheetah unfortunately, or yet, you never know. But this is one of the areas we see them in. But we did spot a little guy, one of my favorite animals, just over there, and we're going to sneak our way in closer. We're sort of just letting him get used to us a bit, so hopefully we can get a really good look at him just now, or her. There's a pair of them that live around here. So basically, we're gonna go a bit closer to him, or her. I mean, I say him or her. I think it's the male. It looks like the bigger one. We've only seen the one so far. We've been up here once or twice and seen both of them, and they do form monogamous pairs. So male and female, you know, they bond together, and they've probably got a den somewhere. VM, I know, has been very keen to see. You know, we should follow them, see if we can't find a den. But beautiful jackal, and this is a side striped jackal. Typically, the jackal that you see most of the time in southern Africa are the black-backed jackal. This is the side striped jackal, slightly bigger, almost like a slightly more fox-like face. Oh, there he goes. But these guys are a little bit skittish sometimes, but beautiful. Look at him. And in many ways, you know, even in terms of the niches they They occupy, you can compare this to a fox or to a coyote or a sort of small to mid-size dog-like animals that live in the wild. You get the two jackal species around this area, the side-striped jackal that we're looking at now and the black-backed jackal. Both quite similar in behavior, monogamous pairs. And I love that in Afrikaans, which is my first language, English is the second language, we describe that what you're looking at now as a jakkalsdraffie, a jackal trot. And they can do that for a long time. You can just cover ground like that, just jogging along, and it's a great way for them to find food. Oh, there's the other one. Look in the foreground. There we go, just in the bottom view. There in the shade. Brilliant. Lying flat down. You can see how easily you can miss these guys. Okay, well, I think we're going to leave these guys. They seem to be relaxing in the shade, so let's leave them be. We're going to have a little drive over towards Buffalo Pan, a bit of water behind us here. Track. Moment, but there are some buffalo not far from me. We're going to get closer to them, have a look at them, see what they do. It's one of my favorite sort of small waterholes. It's just a very picturesque setting, the dead tree, the shape of the water. The hide next to it, which is also somewhere that we might end up. It's one of our places we can go if it's raining. Go sit there and have a look around. Buffalo! Buffalo! Seems to be a little bit not in the mood for us, but that's not bad news because I just spotted an elephant. Brilliant. Let's go to the Ellie. These buffalo are trying to avoid us, so let's give them that opportunity. I can see an elephant having a mud bath. And we like elephants having mud baths. It's a lot of fun to watch. Way in the distance. so nice. Lots of bird life, and it's difficult to show all of it because some of them are tiny. I saw a little bunting just now. It's a tiny little bird with these black and white stripes on the head, picking up grass things, you know, to go and build a nest. And guinea fowl and doves, it's just all this bustle. But we saw a buffalo briefly, we left the jackal, and now we have an elephant. And he's just had a mud bath, so he's all wet and shiny. In fact, let's have a look at him and the guinea fowl, because the guinea fowl are also nice. I think they might fly because they're on the runway. There's the Ellie. Love it when they're wet like that. Just all looks like they've sort of got little stars dancing in them. It's not a very old bull. In fact, I would have guessed that there might be one or two other bachelors around, but not impossible. Behind him there's quite a lot of thickets that might have a few elephants in them and we won't see them. But he might also be by himself. I'm guessing him at around 16, 17 years old. Aware of us. We're the only other big thing on the runway at the moment. Now what he's going to do now, he's walking right into the runway. He's going to run as fast as he can, and he's going to flap his ears as hard as he can. And then he's going to walk across the runway and we're going to have a look at him. There we go, that's the first greeting, asking us what's up. Oh, it's alright, dude. See, he's a young guy. So his bark and his bite differ from each other. That's the windsock on the back, just in case you're wondering what that is. This is for the aeroplanes that they're flying in. There's two very important things for an aeroplane when they fly into the bush. Well, three. The first is a runway. The second is a windsock to know the direction of the wind. And the third thing, and that's done by the vehicles that come and fetch the guests, they have to check the runways. I've personally on this runway chased off various things, including cheetah and zebra, to not chased off, but politely asked to move along those animals so that the aeroplanes could come and land. Let's stick with this guy a bit. He did have a bit of sort of curiosity about us, but he is by himself. He is a youngster. He's only been separate from the herd probably 2 years or 3 years at the most. So I don't want to, not going to bother him if he seems a bit shy, but I get a feeling that he's maybe a bit curious about us as well. So let's give him the opportunity to investigate us, and hopefully we can get the opportunity to do the same with this Ellie. I'm going to go around a little bit. Go. Let's see what he does. See the ears up. Oh, it's important that what we're doing now, we're stopping and we're switching off. Just look at how beautiful he looks. Nice way to cool down, spray yourself with mud. Just see what's he gonna do. I'm even wondering if he's not maybe trailing a herd. He's not very old yet, so he's gonna walk in behind us here. Hey, mister. All right. I think we're going to leave him for now. He's quite relaxed, but if we keep following him, he's going to start getting uncomfortable. So let's see, maybe there's a herd in front of him. We're not very far from Arathusa Lodge. This is the other area that we drive in. This is the runway that we've been next to now. And they've got a nice big waterhole in front of the camp. We'll have a look around the area, but maybe we can catch, maybe there's a breeding herd in the area, you know, a herd that he's trailing behind. Oh, brilliant. Ellie's asking a question about the Ellies. Ellie just asking if the length of the tusks are those, the big white prominent teeth that you could see, if they indicating or an indication of age. Ellie, well, yes and no. In other words, you can't say the tusks are that long, the animal is that old. You do get tusks that can be slightly bigger or smaller depending on the individual, so there's a genetic aspect to it, as well as, so I'm just checking the tracks here to see no one's driven here this morning, so some hyena tracks. As well as the tusk length in general, on average in other words, can differ between, you know, Kruger National Park, Etosha, East Africa and so forth. For instance, there are parts of East Africa especially where you get those elephants with beautiful long tusks. And there's different things that play a role. In Namibia, the desert elephants, they don't get tusks that are very long that often because they use their tusks so often. They have to dig a lot and sort of work with them a lot. So there's different things that play a role. And then also genetically, you can get, you know, two elephants of the same age with slightly different tusk lengths. But you can certainly use it as part of the different pieces that you use to estimate the age. So the body physical size, the skull size, the shoulder height, and the tusks. Let's have a look at these impala. Okay, let's have a quick look at the impala. A couple of lambs here just shaking their heads, and then we're going to go back to HT. He's got some hippos again, and we're going to continue on and see what's down at the big waterhole here by Arathusa Lodge. So we'll see you back here in a bit.
Well, folks, we've come over to another dam here called Vaiatella Dam on Djuma, and there's even more hippo over here. There's about 11 individuals in here at the moment. A couple of youngsters, not as young as the ones we just saw, but they're frolicking around here, having a bit of a play and just sort of sparring with each other at the moment. And they're coming quite close to us, quite inquisitive, and then they sort of disappear. I think I can count 11 in here. A lovely little bit of interaction going on here at the moment with these youngsters. We've seen some pretty incredible sights at this dam. A couple of weeks back we came down here and Karula, one of the leopards, quite famous leopard here, was drinking at the waterhole. We've had numerous elephant encounters down here with buffalo, and amazing. It's a beautiful place and a really great spot to come and see. There's always going to be a hippo here of some description, either the bull or one of the cows. Normally the bull stays with this territory, and this is the place where, you know, we have this story going that I don't think I'm going to see that hippo again for some reason. Just doesn't feel that I am going to ever meet him again. But there was an old resilient bull that we came across up on one of the areas called Quarantine, who'd had a fierce battle with the dominant bull here, and he came off definitely second best. He had very, very severe wounds on his right shoulder and right hindquarters, and we came across him after in a couple of different places, but we certainly haven't seen him for a while, so who knows what's happened to him. And that's life in the hippo world. Just going to show you that bird. It's a beautiful shot, Brian, just there. Just going to cross to this bird here, sitting just in there, Brian. He's such a beautiful, it's a woodland kingfisher. Oh, he's just flew. Sorry about that, but it's always the way. But that beautiful call that you just heard was a woodland kingfisher, so beautiful, beautiful bird. So coming from the other dam to this dam, I'm not sure where all these hippos have come from. There's a couple of different dams that are close by, and hippos will walk considerable distances at night grazing. They can definitely go from pond to, or dam to dam or river to river with no problem, but you'll find that the dominant bulls will normally hold tenure over an area for a considerable amount of time. I mean, it's not been uncommon for a dominant bull to hold that tenure or that dominancy over that area for half of their life, or even to sort of 20 years. But it normally is about 3 to 4 years. And in a river where there's a great concentration of hippos, that area will be very, very small. It will only be like 100 yards or sort of 300 feet type of thing. 100 meters or about 300 feet. So it just depends on depending on the concentration of the animals, and that will be the tolerance level for the hippos. But when they do fight, they battle fiercely, absolute fierce battles between bulls, and as we said, the loser can come off with very, very serious wounds and injuries. Now, I just want to touch on one thing as well. That's it. Isn't that fantastic? That is a very beautiful vocalization that Africa is famous for, folks. When you hear that and you're near a water point or you're staying at a lodge or a camp and you hear that, you really know you're in Africa, just like you hear a lion roar. Absolutely beautiful sound. We just got an email from Linda in California. Hi, Linda, and welcome aboard. Fantastic to have you with us from your beautiful part of the world as well. Linda's question is, how many males are in a pod of hippos or in a herd of, or a group of hippos? Well, it's normally controlled by a dominant bull, but as I was just mentioning before, that area of dominancy can be very, very concentrated if it's a big population. If you've got a small area like this, you'll find that there will probably and more than likely only be one. But if you're in a river situation, like I've been to rivers in Uganda, where particularly a place called the Kazinga Channel, in between Lake Albert and Lake George, in Queen Elizabeth National Park, where you'll get huge concentrations of hippo, where the tolerance level of the males is much greater. They will have only probably 100 meters or about 300 feet of river frontage that they sort of protect. And you will get them tolerating these sort of satellite bulls that sort of come and go. They try their luck. They try their luck and try and squeeze on in and take some of the females away. But the bulls normally defend that territory very, very fiercely, and the battles can be fatal. So hippopotamus are notorious, or they have this sort of notorious reputation for being this incredibly dangerous animal. They are, without a doubt. But in their safety zone, which they're in right now, they're very, very confident. They feel safe. If you intrude on that area, coming too close to the edge or too close to calves, they will definitely charge you. They can come out of the water at great speed. You would not believe how quickly they can come out of the water, because they are standing on the bottom basically, and they will be moving at great speed and coming out of the water, so it's not a great place to be. So we just got a question from John in Los Angeles, and hi John, welcome aboard. Fantastic to have you as well on this incredible experience with us here live in Djuma Game Reserve in Sabi Sands in South Africa. It's a great pleasure to talk to everyone, but it's just great to have questions coming from around the world. And John, your question is, are hippos dangerous to people? Well, following on from that little sort of part that I just talked about, absolutely 100%. You need to know the potential dangers of all animals when you're out in the bush, and never get complacent. These are not animals that are behind any sort of enclosure in a zoo or in a drive-through wildlife park or something like that. As are all those animals in zoos around the world. They're just as dangerous, and probably more dangerous at that, because they don't have a fear or a fight or flight sort of zone from humans. John, one of the most difficult things for local populations living with animals outside of game reserves is that there's a human-animal conflict situation that can come on, and that will be because human beings are utilising the same resources as animals. So when people come down to a waterhole like this to get water to maybe take home to boil and drink, or whatever it may be from a river, they'll come down normally early in the morning, and what happens then is when they're travelling back to their village or to their community, hippopotamus are coming back to the water, and that is the crucial time that there's the biggest danger. When you're in between a hippo and the water, you're basically in between that hippo's safe zone, so that's when normally the fatalities occur, and situations are really, really difficult. So most communities know that, but you always get the slip-ups because they make these fantastic little pathways out of the water as well that human beings have a tendency to fall onto and just think that they're great ways down to the water's edge, but you can come across a hippo on your way back from the water point. So very, very dangerous, incredibly agile as well for their size and shape, and you really do have to take care when you're around these animals and have great respect, as you should always. But yeah, very, very dangerous animals, and need to give them a wide berth whenever you're in their vicinity. I've had the great privilege of working with these animals in captivity. They are a very, very good. Well, when they're in captivity, you've got obviously a little bit of a situation where you can condition the animals to your presence. You don't have those sort of problems that I was just talking about most of the time, but you still have to have great respect. They can live to ripe old ages of like into their 40s, particularly in captivity. Most longevity is a little bit greater than in the wild. And I worked with 2 hippos for many, many years, and they were very, very cool creatures to work with. And yeah, they've just got to have that little arm of respect and just make sure that you know their capabilities. That's the most important thing. The other interesting thing about hippos, they do have a cousin in West Africa called the pygmy hippopotamus, and they are much more terrestrial than their sort of semi-aquatic cousins here. And they occur in West Africa and Central Africa. Numbers I don't think are very, very high these days, unfortunately, but they are an incredible creature as well. Very, very different looking, still resembling hippos, of course, the same sort of shape, etc., but because they're more terrestrial, they spend more time on the land, in forests, in the tropical rainforests. They have adapted. Isn't that just great? Isn't that great? They have adaptations. Their eyes are on the sides of their head, and you have a look at the hippos here. Their eyes are right on the top of their head with their ears, and they've got slightly longer legs than these common hippopotamus, and they're much, much smaller. A hugely different size shaped animal. So really good if you can have a look up a pygmy hippopotamus from West Africa. Great looking animal. I'm sure on some of the websites, on Nat Geo's websites, there's going to be fact sheets about pygmy hippopotamus, and go and check them out and you'll see the difference in size and shape of the pygmy hippopotamus. Just having a little drink here, folks. It's a little bit warm and dry. Very social creatures too. A lot of the time when they come out of the water, they'll even lie next to each other, leaning on top of each other, put their heads on each other. Beautiful, beautiful setting here. Absolutely magic. It's always good to sit. So we're probably going to move on from here, folks, but I just to round up and recap, hippopotamus fascinating creatures to watch. If you can spend the time and just sort of sit by a waterhole, you can see some really beautiful behaviour. You can start to figure out which is the bull, which is the cow. So a little bit of sorry, Brian. No, it's okay. They've stopped. There might be a little bit of a face-off here. I'm sorry. It's a little bit of a big pan there, guys. Apologies, but there was a little bit of conflict going on. It's always the way. Brian's been on that shot for the last 5 minutes, and there was a little bit of conflict. I think it's slowed down now. So they give each other great warnings as well. There's lots of posturing and mouth open behaviour towards each other. They would prefer, particularly the cows, would prefer to not have a conflict situation arise, but the mothers will definitely defend their offspring fiercely, and they won't even come, as I said earlier when we were at that other waterhole, they'll stay away from the herd anywhere up to sort of 40 days. but just depending on the concentration and what the mother decides to do. But a fascinating creature to sit and watch. They come out of the water at approximately sundown, just into the early hours of the evening, and they'll go off and graze through the night and then come back. But we did see some really interesting behaviour earlier on the waterhole camera where 2 hippos were out of the water at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So there's always exceptions to the rules, folks. And I'm going to cross over to Pete and see what he's up to, and we will see what's around the next corner. We'll check you just now.
Guys, one back this side. We've made our way all the way from the airstrip towards Aretusa Lodge. All the way, it's not that far, about a kilometre or so mile, but nice, beautiful drive through the chill of water. 1 or 2 small things, and we just about, you'll see it opens up now as coming onto what they call or Safari Open area. And on the left-hand side, we've coming onto what they call or Safari Open area. And on the left-hand side, we've got probably one of the most beautiful waterholes in this area. It's got this lovely, let me just see if there's any wildlife on there. If you look back this way towards the left, it's got this beautiful sort of short grass clearing. Now in the next month or weeks, even depending on how much it rains, that will all become water. So this waterhole becomes quite a big dam, but for the moment you've got that floodplain area, nice grazing island in the middle. It's just quite a nice big piece of water, and lots of hippo. We're not going to look at the hippos too much unless they start doing something funny or interesting, because you've seen hippo quite a bit this afternoon. And just a beautiful setting. We were at Aretusa Lodge just earlier today, just fixing something on the mast, and both Graham and myself commented on this lodge. It's just got a lovely setting, you know, in many ways similar to Voitela, a beautiful waterhole, and this one has just got a feel that I quite like. A little bit sort of almost old school safari lodge. And I'm sure at some stage or another we're going to see some great wildlife here as well. Elephants come and swim here because it's a big waterhole. And as we're saying that, I was just looking over my shoulder and I noticed these guys. One of my favorite antelopes, kudu. We looked at some in the beginning of the drive. If you've maybe just joined us in the last few minutes, maybe this is your first time on the Safari Live experience, we are in Africa, in South Africa, in Sabi Sands Game Reserve, and this is a live safari. So you with us right as this happens, and this is a antelope that I think we're going to talk about now because we've got such a great view of them. We are looking for cats, as always. My standard joke with the camera guys, it's a bit like Pinky and the Brain, you know, same thing as everyday Pinky. We're looking for leopard. So we are en route to go look for Shadow, a leopard that the guys saw a few tracks from this morning. A bit of a tricky leopard, but I hope we can find her, because ultimately, well, I like seeing leopard, as I know all of you would, but also this is Big Cat Week, so we want to show you big cats as much as possible. But one should never get caught up just in 1 or 2 things in a beautiful environment like this, because there's so much to it. There's all the wildlife, all the antelopes and all the predators and all the smaller things, the insects and the frogs that are all now coming out with the rain, and the grasses and the flowers and the bush and the sky that's perfectly blue today. We've got a waxing gibbous moon that we'll look at later. VM said we must try and get a nice shot of it later on. There's just all this to experience, and one must really remember, and I've seen this happen to people on safari, that they get so caught up in what they're not seeing that they're forgetting to enjoy and appreciate what they are seeing. Like, for instance, to see a big herd of kudu like this in the open is not something that's very typical, because kudu like being in thick bush. They are browsing animals, which means they eat leaves, unlike grazers, things like blue wildebeest that eat grass. So kudus typically live in thicker habitat, and they're coming down for a drink now, which is why they're in the open. And I know it looks like they're grazing. They're not eating grass. They're eating these little shrubs, or these little plants. It's in fact, the one that I can smell where we've driven now, I've crushed a few just driving over it, is wild basil. It smells just like basil. In fact, you can eat it as well, just like basil. Hence, wild basil. But that's what they're eating. And these guys, if you look at them, now consider that they live in thick bush most of the time. So they like the sort of more your bushveld savanna, or your thick bushveld areas. And they've got perfect adaptations for it. Firstly, long legs, very athletic. They can run fairly fast, but more importantly, they're really amazing at jumping. They can jump over a 6-foot bush without even much effort. Those lines on the body, that helps to break the outline of the body. Now again, not so much when you're in the open like this, but when you're standing among some leaves and twigs and things, those lines really help to break the sort of outline of the body. And then they've got big ears, quite, proportionate to the head, and compared to most other antelope, they've got massive ears. And that's because as much as they've got good eyesight, as good as a wildebeest, as good as a zebra, as good as an impala, and they rely on their eyesight, they can't always count on their eyesight as much because they will have all kinds of leaves and foliage around them. So fantastic hearing, good eyesight, good smell, but they've got above average hearing. They can hear a pin drop far away if they were listening for it. I thought they were coming for a drink, but perhaps because we're here, I see there's 1 or 2 people at the lodge, maybe they decided to give it a few minutes. They're not rushed. All animals, when they go down to water, except maybe for elephants and lions, all animals are always on high alert when approaching a waterhole. They know that there could be other things around. Obviously, there could be other things around anywhere in the bush. But at a waterhole, the chances are just higher. So they always sort of take their time a little bit when they go drink. Except maybe for buffalo as well, come to think of it. Buffalo, just thinking back to some great experiences. Buffalo, when they're thirsty, especially when it's big herds, 300, 400, 500. So buffalo, when they are thirsty, they can stampede down to the water. Quite spectacular clouds of dust sometimes. Okay, so let's leave the kudu for now. Well, maybe we don't leave the kudus for now. They're just crossing the road that we're going to take, so we might just have another little look at them. Especially if we can get a nice close look. I'd really like it to see their faces, those big ears. When they look right at you, you can really see that hearing is an essential part of their sort of awareness of their surroundings. Hey guys. You can see them turning the head, ears always listening. Look at those ears. Also have those white lines in front of the eyes that we spoke about earlier that helps to reflect a bit more light into the eyes. Also an adaptation for living in shadowed environments.
well, it's possible, and it's silent. There's a few impala just over here on the hill that I can see. Now, I just really want to scan around, and if animals do get the heads up that there's predators around, they will depart most of the time. Sometimes not. Some animals actually prefer to know where the predator is. And I've been walking through the bush once before on the other side of South Africa in a beautiful park called Pilanesberg, and I went out with a great guy, Frank Bauer, who's a great friend, and we went out for a walk, and there was a beautiful antelope just sort of watching us, and everywhere we went he'd keep following us to see if we could see where we were. Just watching constantly behind these trees, and you turn over your shoulder and there he was, still looking at you, following you. So sometimes predators like to know, prey animals like to know where the predators are, and we're probably considered a predator. We're strange, we're unusual, not me personally, but us generally, and it really does, it's an interesting part of behaviour. Sometimes they'll give the alarm call and they'd rather see where the predator is than just run off aimlessly. But I'm just finding it really strange why this place is so quiet. The temperature's definitely dropped. It's not too hot up here. We are still keeping our eyes out for those line. They have moved on. Talking to the other guides is always really helpful. So, and always just looking for, whenever we look out the side of the vehicle like that, it's just to look for tracks, potential tracks. So I'm just going to go down here, and then we might just scoot around and skirt that area there. There's an area on the other side of here called Impala Plains, which has always got pretty much impala on it or somewhere around there, and it could be an area for them that we might go and check out. We just got a question from M.A. Kuhlman. Hi there, welcome aboard, fantastic to have you with us. About how big a leopard's territory is. Well, it's a little bit like how long's a piece of string, the answer to that, because it really does depend on the concentration of leopard in the area, the available food resources, and so many different things. It can be as small as sort of 7 square kilometres to, and even smaller sometimes, to over 50 square kilometres, and there's lots of different documentation on that. There's different places in the world that leopards will be living on top of each other and tolerating each other, depending on the available food source. So it's a real tricky one to answer, but generally, averaging in the sort of 20 kilometre radiuses or areas, but then it can be anything from as small as sort of 5 to 7 kilometres, and it really just does depend on the available food source and the toleration of others. There's stories of leopard in Asia living in a community where you'll see actually 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 leopards sitting on the same sort of rock structure, and Scott's told me a little bit of that, one of our really fantastic guides that works in the morning with us, and he's got friends over there that talk about that. So it really does depend on loads of different things, and it's a hugely changing dynamic as well, depending on the individuals. Always keep our eyes up in the trees too, folks. These beautiful trees here that could have a carcass lying in it from a leopard, which they will go and hide or store up their tree and come back and get later, or could be sitting with it, but they wouldn't be far from it probably. So always good to keep an eye out there as well. We're going to keep looking. We're going to keep looking, folks. I've got a good feeling about today. It's been a bit quiet on the predator front, but that's no biggie. We've seen some fantastic stuff. We'll just keep looking. You never know what's around the next corner. All good. All good. I do love this area. It's where we saw Kunyama that night, who came and visited us in our campfire chat, which was just amazing. And yeah, I want to come back up here later. I love looking down at my watch and seeing that we've got over an hour and a quarter left. So the night is still young. Where are those lion? Where are those leopards? So you know, you saw those lion yesterday when we were here. We're over just a little bit further on kill number 2, and you saw when they were lying flat how difficult they are to see. So you can be driving past here, you have to just look for this tail flick. This tail flicks up out of when they're trying to scoot flies off them, and that's always a great little advertisement that there's lion there. But sometimes you can just really look for hours and hours and not have any luck. But hey ho, it's all about the anticipation. It's all about the excitement and just driving and looking, keeping your eyes peeled. About to pass another game drive vehicle. We'll just stop and say hi to them. Hello, mate. Good to see you, mate. Yeah, very well. Hi, folks. Yeah. Nothing, mate.
Nothing. There isn't. One just came right across us. There's this Kabinga 2 truck that goes in here.
Yeah.
They've gone right in the middle of the block, straight by monkey orange of night inside there. And then that as well. There's some oxpeckers going crazy inside there. So, you know, it's, yeah.
Alright, let's just keep having a bit of a look around here.
I'm thinking maybe Gary Dam. Guys, didn't take a look that side.
We did. We just had a look over there, and there's not a lot to see, but there's a lot of hippo there, but not a great deal of spoor or anything that I saw.
Yeah.
But this is a really thick area just here, isn't it?
Very,
and
very thick. I'm thinking, I mean, there's only Marty here, but no, they didn't drink down here.
Yeah.
They went straight across.
I'm
going to go take a look at Gary Dam.
Are you going to stay in this area, just having a bit of a look?
Yeah, I'm going to be.
It might be nice just to keep traversing this area and just keep going around.
Take a look. I mean, I'm sure sooner or later, especially hot day like this, go look for Marty again somewhere.
Yeah.
I mean, Gary Dam is not.
Yeah, we've got a webcam on there, so I'll give you a yell if we get any message.
Excellent.
Cheers, mate. Take care, guys.
Let's hope, huh?
Cheers, mate.
We'll get something.
Cheers, guys. So, folks, that little exchange of information is absolutely crucial to finding animals. The guides here on these 2 reserves and the surrounding reserves are some of the best I've ever come in contact with. I like this little road. We go down it very often, but we feel everyone's feeling. Intuition plays a huge part in this. It's really important to use your intuitive your instinct. You know, scientists are doing massive sort of research at the moment, trying to map the brain and trying to figure out every single part of the brain, but there's a part in the brain that they just cannot put their finger on, and that is our intuition. Our intuition, where does it come from? What is it? What is that gut feeling? What's that instinct that we have? They can't really find what it is, and you use that a lot in the bush. You really do. You sort of have a gut feeling, oh, I'm going to go down that road. Oh, no, and I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, but it's a great thing, and it gets you really excited. Let's just keep our eyes open. Just got a tweet from AR, a really good question. AR's asked a question about the Kruger Park and what's the difference between the Kruger Park and Sabi Sands. The Kruger Park is a national park run by the South African Parks Board, SANParks, and it's one of the most beautiful parks on the planet, I would say. It's a beautiful area, massive national park in South Africa, adjoining Sabi Sands. The Sabi Sands is private game reserves owned by different private landowners, and basically all those landowners have pooled together their resources, and basically there's a fence to the west, that's for sure, and there's a fence area around there, but the fences between Kruger and Sabi Sands have been removed. Now, what a great move is that? Absolutely fantastic. Greater Kruger it's called in this area. And it just means that there's more space for animals to come through. All the Sabi Sands reserves benefit from it, and the Kruger benefit from it, and the animals benefit from it, and the habitat, everything benefits. So it's a beautiful thing, and I think that's the biggest difference. Many different private reserves that have their own private lodges. You can't come onto the Sabi Sands just as a day visitor, as you can in the Kruger National Park. So it's a little bit different there. And the private lodges here, you book and you get bed nights, and then your game drives and that sort of thing are all inclusive. Whereas in Kruger, you can actually self-drive through Kruger National Park. It's beautifully set up. The National Park's accommodation's fantastic, functional accommodation, and you know, both places are different in their sort of philosophy and what they offer, but at the same time, the wildlife is equally as good in both places. Now, the habitats are different, slightly different as well. It's very, very sandy here, going on the name Sabi Sands. But there's a few more different habitats sort of towards the north of Kruger. So they're two different places, and that's sort of a bit of it in a nutshell. But still, just both are great, great, wonderful places. Where we are right now, the guides that we're working with are giving us loads and loads of information. They know, they're specialists in this area. They shared so much with us, and I just have to salute them and take my hat off to all the guides that have helped us. Sorry. I just saw a couple of antelope just run through there. A couple of impala just ran through there as I was talking to you out of the corner of my eye. Let's just scoot around here. I can tell you more about the Sabi Sands later. Let's just sit here for a second. I've just been looking over this area just to have a little bit of a scan, because it's nice just to be quiet as well. Keep your ears open and just try and get an idea. Really nice. Really nice. Just got another question from Summer in Chicago, and I know it's not summer in Chicago at the moment, but summer is in Chicago. Hi Summer. Absolutely wonderful city. I love your city. I've been there many times, and I've filmed several stories in and around Chicago. So fantastic, and love it to bits. Summer's question is, she's heard that lions are catching TB, and it's definitely documented, that's for sure, and lots of research and scientists are working on that at the moment. They do catch it, or where do they catch it from was your question. They do catch it from buffalo that do have bovine TB, and it's a very, very important thing that game reserves do quarantine if there's any incoming animals from outside of the Greater Kruger and so on. They're quarantined for a certain amount of period of time, and become bovine TB free. But the lions seem to live with it, as far as I can gather, and what the research has said. The lions seem to live with it, and that's probably about the amount that I know on that summer. But it's really important that these checks and quarantine checks are kept in check within these beautiful national parks and game reserves that adjoin each other. But that's probably about the amount of information I can give you. But there's loads of information on that online as well, and some really fantastic scientists doing research on that. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go very slowly along here. Very slowly indeed. And just keep our ears open. I don't know what that was. It was just impala, and it wasn't a ram chasing a female or something like that. It was just... Keep our eyes open, folks. Very beautiful area, great vegetation here, and this is perfect leopard territory as well. Folks, I'm going to cross over to Pete just while we have a little look around here. So let's cross to him and see what he's up to. And I promise you, if we find anything in this little block here that we're looking at, we've got a really good feeling about for some reason. Cedric and I are going to have a look around here. Cedric's one of the other guides. Let's cross to Pete. We'll see you just now, and we'll come back as soon as we find something.
Welcome back this side. I'm sure you had a good time with the HD. And we're going to talk more about this area just now. Now just enjoy the view. This is Knobthorne Pan. It's a place that up until a week ago, not even a week ago, didn't have water in it. This is one of those classic sort of almost compositions. If you want the water in the front, the nice big tree in the back, the dead tree in the back. Beautiful little clearing as well. So the kind of place again that if you have the right wildlife and you're here at the right time, it can be something quite special. Well, we decided to take you to a different vehicle. Had a nice drive with HT. I'm sure you had a good time with him. And we just up here at a little place called Knobthorne Pan. This is an Egyptian goose we're looking at. You might guess from that name that you find them all the way up to the Nile in northern Africa as well. Quite a widespread goose. In fact, you get them other parts of the world now as well. But a beautiful setting, and I was saying just now that this pan actually, up until not even a week ago, didn't have water in it. And it is a lovely setting, kind of place that Scott Dyson is getting involved in the morning drives as well. He would love this because this kind of setting you just get frogs and insects and all kinds of things that would be it's not a permanent waterhole, but for the majority of summer you will have water here, and with that there you can see something swimming. What is that? Terrapin, I think. Terrapin is like a freshwater turtle if you want, or a water tortoise. It's got a flat shape, and they live in these big waterholes as well, but in these smaller pans you get them as well. And they can actually wait out the dry season, and then when the rain comes they come out the mud again. Not the same as, but in a way like catfish. There you can see it's back even now and again. This is a decent size terrapin, most likely a marsh terrapin. That's the most common species around here. Let's see, maybe it climbs out. There we go. This is a great place for them because there's lots of little things to eat and catch. Small insects, and as I said, all these butterflies and dragonflies and all kinds of insects will come along. That'll be what they feed on mainly. And also if buffalo come along here, or warthogs, things that come and wallow in the mud, this is a great wallowing spot. Those terrapins will go up to them and they'll eat the ticks off them, so they help clean the larger predators that come for a swim or a mud bath as well. Well, from the water just to our left here, it's actually coming a bit closer now. This is a bird that we've heard a few times when they're calling. They're beautiful to watch when they're calling. They make a brilliant sound as well. Just there you can see it sort of behind our shadow, or beyond. This is a black-bellied koran, and this is the male. When it turns our way a bit more, you'll see it better. It doesn't actually look like a very old male, so that's maybe why it's not calling. Most of the big mature males by this time, they're calling for females, and they make this beautiful. I can mimic a lot of bird calls, but I can't mimic theirs. Brian has got a decent go at it. We'll ask him when he's behind camera with me sometime. They make like the sound of a water drop at the end, so it's this joing, quink, but not like that. It sounds much nicer when they do it. Very similar, I guess, in a way to the Roadrunner that you guys get in North America. That's probably what that I think of first. But then again, I don't know the North American wildlife that well. I've traveled there a bit and I've read about it quite a bit, but I haven't yet, let's leave that word in there, I haven't yet spent much time with North American wildlife. Maybe down the line. It'd be great to go and see the salmon run, or go to some of your amazing game reserves you have up there as well. I know Glacier National Park, a friend of mine that runs a big reserve in the Kalahari now, he said it's one of the most beautiful places he ever saw. Yosemite National Park, which I've been to, it's a stunning, stunning place. So you must always remember there's a lot of beautiful wildernesses in our world. One should try and see them whenever you can. Also eating insects, you can see sharp beak. Typically animals with these long, thin or long and sharp beaks would be insect eaters, so sort of like pincers or something that can grab things. Or insect eaters tend to have thicker, stronger, sort of more stubby bills or beaks. Beautiful bird though. It's so peaceful to sit like this. It's one of the great sort of pleasures of game drives as well. Is obviously driving around looking for things. Looking for things is fun. Finding things, I think, is even more fun. If you're looking for something and suddenly you have that moment of surprise when you just suddenly there's something you don't know what to see. I mean, I will never forget a very, very special moment on the first drive for Big Cat Week. 3 minutes before live, we were still looking around for a few things. We knew there was a leopard in the area maybe, but we were hoping maybe later in the afternoon. And literally minutes before, I spotted a leopard right up in the tree. And it was a very difficult spot, and that moment is very exciting. So driving around is great, but finding things is a lot of fun as well. But the other thing I was actually trying to say is to sit at a place like this, just such a nice view and such a nice setting. It's something that in itself could be very enjoyable and very fulfilling. Because sometimes sitting like this, something pops out. So let's take 1 or 2 more minutes. We'll answer a question, and then we'll continue on the drive. Okay, of course. No problem, Doris. I can do that. Let's have another look at the bird. It's also not that often you see them so close. They're sometimes a bit shyer. I think it's because we've been sitting here for a while. He decided we're not to... Oh, beautifully, standing right in the light there. And Doris was just asking, it's a very easy question. Thanks, Doris. If I can repeat the name of this bird. It's going to call. Watch. It's going to call. So this just makes me smile every time they do that. That's amazing. So close to us. Could you hear that, Liam?
Yep.
Okay, so everyone could hear that nicely. That's great. Boink. As I said, not my best imitation, but I just love watching them as well as the sound that you hear. But Doris, your question, what's the bird's name? Let me just repeat that. It's a black-bellied as in stomach, black-bellied korhaan. Now nowadays they use the word bastard as well for the korhaans. And korhaan is, I would guess it's from the Afrikaans name way back, which is, you spell it Korhaan, and it's effectively refers to like a bush chicken, if you want. Oh, sorry, you snuck up on me there. I was watching the birds. Cool, let's go for a drive, guys. Yeah, it was a sneaky one. Cheers, Mr. Bird. There goes a duiker running away. That's a beautiful view. This late light when the sun's breaking through the leaves, it's always stunning.
Go, boys. To the right.
Oh, cool. Let's see, the road seems to turn here. VM has done another great spot. A couple of buffalo bulls here. And a hornbill flying away, as birds tend to do. Let's try and see them. Looks like 2, 3, 4 buffalo in there. Alright, let's just get turned here. Heading for Knobthorne Pan, maybe they're just moving to wherever they're moving. Looks like they've got a bit of a direction that they're heading in, but let's stick with them for a few minutes. I love buffalo. Just look at that face. There's so much attitude. Buffalo. Just look at that face. There's so much attitude in them. That one's giving his horns a bit of a grooming. Not too much. It looked like he wanted to rub it up against that tree for a bit. It's very good for the horns to clean it and to also oil it. You get all the sap from the leaves. And this is a young bull. He's quite a youngster to be in a bachelor group, but a bit of company is always welcome. Copy, just confirm we are live. Okay, cool. Okay, guys, we have to do a quick lip sync, so we're just going to make sure that my lips and the sound match up. If you don't mind, the dragonfly. And I'm going to do this as well. Cool bananas. Let's look at the buffalo. Brilliant. Just might be the last of these buffalo. They were crossing next to us, or not next to us, but not far away from us. Now they're sort of walking off into the, I was going to say into the sunset almost. The sun is getting low now. It's that beautiful, beautiful part of the afternoon that is always enjoyable in the bush. No matter what you're looking at, just the drive. And the sun gets low and the shadows gets long. It's always pleasant to be out here. The temperature has dropped a few degrees. We're in that perfect part of the safari drive. It is also the time that a lot of the predators start becoming a bit more active. In other words, lions, leopard, the big cats that we're looking for in Big Cat Week, as well as hyenas, the smaller things as well. So I'm always very happy when it turns into, you know, sort of this time of the day. That sort of last hour or so building up to sunset. What's the time anyway? Okay, wow. Time's flown. It's after 6 o'clock Central African time. We've got a little bit under an hour left to drive. But you can get in touch with us by tweeting #SafariLive or email to questions@wildearth.tv. And they don't have to be questions. You are more than welcome just to say, wow, this is really cool, it's a new experience for us, or not. And you can say, this is really bad, we're going to change the channel if you want, although I don't hope that's what you're going to let us know. But guys, I'm just teasing a little bit, but I would love to know from a few of you, what do you think of this? What kind of experience is this for you? Is this maybe a bit new? Is this unexpected perhaps? Flies around, I feel like a buffalo. I have to go stick my head in the mud just now. Rub it against the tree afterwards. Okay, nothing at first glance, but there's this little sort of secret alcove in the back here, and I always check it. When I'm at this dam, this is called Red Dam, I always check it because I believe at some stage or another I'm going to check it and find a leopard up there, but maybe not today. You see what it does? If you look right up in the back there, it makes this beautiful sort of inlet area. Hey, sorry, it's a fly in my eye. We could go up to the top here. Such beautiful light now. Absolutely love this time of day. Mosquitoes. We don't like mosquitoes out here. They can carry malaria. It's not a high risk area, but it's certainly not a low risk area either. It's sort of there in the middle risk area when it comes to malaria. We are at the moment. Continue back east a little bit. Slowly make our way, I don't know yet, Impala Plains, maybe Sandy Patch, that area somewhere. Let's just see what happens for the last part of the drive with Safari Live. Guys, this is just a dove, but this light is just so incredible. And like doves do, they can fly away. But look at that moon. We said we want to look at the moon, so we'll do another one just now. But for now, let's see. Oh, let's try and get it. Let's put it at the tip of that branch. How's that? Slightly forward. Wait. How about in that? That's nice. I like it. I jump in it. Now we need a little lizard or a gecko or a skink or something to stick his head out from under that bark. love this, by the way. Around full moon or just before full moon, you get this beautiful opportunity with great light. One more. Sorry, Liam. In that space where we can have a bit more play. Oh no, I was hoping to get it in that notch, but not. Oh, never mind. We'll do another one just now. There we go. Let's quickly show you how fast it moves. For those of you that are really into math, you can do the mathematics if you take the time relative to the space and all that kind of things. But yeah, distance of the tree is about 3.5 meters from VM. You can work out how far the moon is, triangulate it, work it out. But watch how that moon goes in behind that branch while we're watching it. And of course that's just an expression if you want, because we are turning in fact. That's why the moon's moving relative to what we're seeing. So don't get dizzy, we're not turning that fast. Ah, I like that. That was fun. We'll do another one just now. I'm so happy that we could be part of Big Cat Week. You know, Big Cat Week is something that I've heard of over the years as well. I mean, that little yellow rectangle that we're driving around with now is something that I personally, like any and all of you, I'm sure the same. Now, I've got so much respect and so much awe almost for it, and to be part of the Big Cat Week and be in Africa, which is a place, you know, it's a place very close to my heart that I'm very passionate about. It's something I'm, you know, hugely excited about. And to be able to take you on a journey where we can have leopards walk into our campfire chats and lions hunting buffalo, but at the same time we can just sit here and enjoy the peace and quiet and enjoy, I was going to say time go by, but I actually want to say the lack of time, the ability to forget about time. That is something I'm really privileged and proud of. So thank you for being here, and we're going to show you a couple more sunsets as we go along, and hopefully in what is about 40 minutes that's left you can find your cat as well. So let's see what happens. I have to get another view of the moon just now. The earlier one looked really nice. I can smell waterbuck here somewhere. Waterbuck have got a very peculiar, specific smell about them. Yeah, let's see how this could work for the moon. This dead branch, if the shape of it works. I think as well a beautiful view of the moon there, and this is we discussed it last night, a waxing gibbous moon. So it's not a full moon yet, but it's growing at the moment from a half moon, growing up to the full moon. And just always nice to put something close by in perspective. It really gives you an idea of how fast it's moving or how fast we are turning in effect. But we're going to continue on a bit, get our wheels rolling and see what else we can find towards the end of the drive. And you're going to jump on the vehicle with Hayden. So enjoy it that side. We'll see you back here just now.
He's eating the tender young shoots of some of these shrubs that are growing, and basically it's the new shoots that have come after this rain. So he's really monopolising this beautiful bit of rainfall-induced growth on these trees, and just making his way through this landscape. Now this area here might look a little bit stark and burnt out compared to the rest, and that's because it was. About 2 months ago, it was a controlled burn, which basically means that they will burn a block or an area with fire breaks on a very, very clear and windless day, and they'll make sure that it's not too hot and not too windy, and they'll just make sure that the day is completely clear weather conditions wise, so they don't get any gusts to blow it into an area where it could potentially start a fire. So this area's just got a lot of flush of new grass and a lot of new growth on it, and we're going to roll down a little bit further and see if he'll enjoy our company. It's okay, my boy. All good, buddy. All good. Let's see what he has to say. Beautiful boy. Just getting those tender new shoots, changing from species to species as he goes. Hello, my boy. Hello, my boy. All good, buddy. All good. Aren't you magnificent? Aren't you beautiful? He's about 2 meters, 3 meters from our vehicle now, a little bit more. He's so relaxed. Absolutely beautiful. And these bulls will just spend a bit of time solitary and maybe join up with some others. It's very transient, the bachelor herd. Sometimes they'll go off and spend some time by themselves, and other times they'll join up with other group of bachelors, and then when time comes for they can actually pick up the scent of a female in estrus, they'll trail a herd, and they'll wait until that female is perfectly timed, and then offer their services. He's beautiful. What a perfect animal. I might just reverse up and go to another little location up the side here, and he might walk onto us again. He's very relaxed and a super creature. So now we've got a really nice idea of his personality. I'm just going to reverse up a little bit. Sorry mate, it's a bit of a hard angle.
Yeah, it's not a good angle.
No, I'll try and get you around a little bit better than that. Let's just roll down off here and see if he's... Okay, my boy. He's beautiful. Just a super looking animal, isn't he? Using that wonderful trunk to pick out whatever he wants. It's like a salad bar, really. Going to the salad bar and getting whatever you want. A little bit of this and a little bit of that. So what I basically did then was let him walk close to us, and then he can dictate the moves then. And then we've just moved around the other side and come up next to him again, and he can dictate the moves basically. If he wants to come close to us, then he can. He knows that we're no threat to him. He would have given us great indication of that by now, and he's a really fantastic, beautiful, beautiful boy. Goodness, he's fantastic. I can watch elephant all day. I really can. Hello, my boy. What a great creature. Hey, buddy. Aren't you sensational? He's about sort of 3 to 4 meters in front of our vehicle at the moment. Very, very beautiful. Just this moment when he walks past the vehicle is always a fantastic time just to reflect on how magical these creatures are. He's now come a little bit closer. And digging up with his foot there. Digging up whatever he smelt under the ground. Using that foot as a tool and his trunk as a tool. He's going to pull out a beautiful big tuber, I think. I think he's found which is basically like a bush onion in a way. He's rubbing the dirt off it. Now the reason why they will do that, rub that dirt off it, is because they really try to preserve their teeth. And those teeth they only get 6 sets in their life. And I've seen them do it with dirt, anything that they dig up, roots they'll shake, even if they're getting beautiful sedges or aquatic plants on the edge of a water point, and they do that, they'll wash the sand off. And that's all about teeth preservation. Aren't you superb? What a magical encounter with this guy. You are magic, matey. There's a boy. There's a boy. There's a boy. It's okay, my boy. It's all right, my boy. It's really hard. He's gone right behind the vehicle now. right around us. He's going to come back out the other side, which is rather unusual. He did a perfect circle around us then. How magical. Completely relaxed. Really nice. He just did a complete turnaround and he's gone back the other way. Wow. That was special, Brian. We've got a question, Brian. Fantastic. We've got a question from Jackie's class in Illinois. Hi there, fantastic to hear from you guys. And Gracie, this is your question. How brilliant is that? I'm talking to you from Africa here, and that's just the most magical thing for me, to be able to communicate with you and your whole class right now and to ask a question. And it's a brilliant question at that, Gracie. Your question is, how old is this bull? Well, it's a little bit tricky to tell, but you can get a bit of a gauge just by the size of their tusks, size of their body. But what we'll do is we might just drive down Gracie and have a little look closer, because he's a bit of a ways off now. So maybe I can get Brian some better pictures for you and we can see our beautiful bull that we just had that magical encounter with, so close to us. He was literally about 2 to 3 meters, or about 10 feet from us. And let's just see, oh, it's such a beautiful area as well. So Gracie, just wait for me for 1 second, and all of Gracie's class and Miss Jackie, just wait for a second. We're going to get up nice and close to this beautiful bull elephant again, who's been so wonderful to us and given us the beautiful encounter he just did. Circled right around the vehicle, only about 10 feet from us, and just was so relaxed and so patient. That's what I love about this place. You are a magical boy. I like you a lot. I don't know what you're doing out here by yourself, buddy, but and who have we got here? Mr. Pretorius. Fantastic. Fantastic. So, Pete's just turned up. I'll just carry on, finish your question, Gracie. So, Gracie, this bull here is probably in his mid-20s, I'd say. Probably mid-20s, yeah. So he's young. They live up to 60 in the wild. Just depends on so many things, Gracie, and everyone else in your class. There's lots of factors that depend on how long an elephant will live. But they live to about 60, and this boy here is in his sort of mid-20s, I'd say, late 20s. Could be even a little bit older than that, but he's in perfect condition, everyone in your class. Have a look how beautiful that skin is, and look at the tail there. That tail is really the only place that they get that hair, that long tail. And I tell you what, it's probably some of the longest hair that I've ever seen on an elephant's tail. He's having a fine time here, choosing all different types of vegetation and having a fantastic time. So Gracie and Miss Jackie's class, brilliant question. Fantastic to talk to you guys again. And I've got a visitor.
You got Miss Jackie's class on there?
Miss Jackie's class.
Fantastic. Miss Jackie's class.
Isn't that magic?
Guys, didn't say hello quickly. I'm going to the hyena den, so see if we can find anything that's...
Alright, mate, no worries.
So the Illy. Guys, fantastic that the class is on the drive. We love it.
See you, mate. He's just allowing us to be in his presence. I'm just going to drive down a little bit closer, but not going to change his behaviour whatsoever. And we might stick with this guy as long as he's comfortable. Hello, my boy. Really nice to be with you, sir. goodness, he's just magical. I keep saying magical, folks, because it's just sometimes when you're in the presence of elephant, you do just start to understand how their enormity and their power and their grace and their beauty. And when you can read the behaviour and read the signs, and you know that he's not finding us threatening in any way, shape or form, they will allow you to be in their presence, and that's quite an incredible experience. He's just having a really beautiful forage through this area, and he's behind a little shrub at the moment, but I'm just going to let him walk on because I don't want to start the car too many times, back and forth, let him have some peace, and just he's going to walk up probably a little bit closer to us in a second. Wow. And you know what? It only takes one encounter, folks. It doesn't have to be a massive herd or anything like that. It can just be one beautiful individual like this that... Let me just move forward a little bit. Brian's just got this tree right in his vision. He's doing his best there, but... There we go, Brian. How's that, mate? A bit better?
100% better.
Yeah, I think the folks that agree. Really great view there of how wrinkled and patterned that skin is, but just don't take it as being tough and can withstand anything. It's very delicate, and they do regular dust bathing and mud bathing and so on to look after that skin. But he's just in such perfect condition. He doesn't even have a tear or rip in his ear. It's quite extraordinary. So we've been sitting with him now for about 10 minutes. I'm just going to continue because he's giving us he's not giving us any signals that he's unhappy, so I'm just going to drive up and not get in his way, but just sort of sit near him. I'm going to go back on the road here, folks, because he's coming up to a road. A road. This is a road. Two little tracks here. This is what we call a road. And just sit and watch this guy, because he's magic. Bit of a breeze picking up now, folks. Just got a bit of a gust there. You might hear on the microphones and so on, but it's just come out of nowhere. I might just roll down a little bit further. It's just about predicting where he's going to. We don't want to get in his path, of course. We just want to sit and watch him nice and close, and just to let him know that we're not in any way, shape or form impeding his natural behaviour. Goodness, hear that? Hear that? That's the lion. That is the lion. Okay, folks. Okay, you know what I'm going to do, folks? I can just heard those lion... Listen to that. Okay, folks, what we're going to do is say goodbye to this beautiful gentleman here and say farewell to him. I'm going to cross to Pete. He's going to go and try and find something really special. Not sure if they're going to be there, but I'm going to try and, in the last 15 minutes, locate these lions. I can hear exactly where they are. See how we get on, folks.
just coming out, guys. We've just been waiting here. We're going to go closer just now, but we're at the hyena den. And one hyena just came walking in while we stopped here. And there was this beautiful greeting ceremony and call going on. This sort of low, you might hear it again just now. Sort of like a throaty howl almost. Calls like that. Hyenas have got quite a few different sounds. People typically think of that sort of laughter or laughing sound, which is what they do when they're very excited around kills, when they're trying to intimidate lions perhaps, or even other hyenas. But they've got a lot of other vocalization sounds that they use to communicate within the group, within the clan. And that's the youngster, little Ndapandula, the female that's about 5 months old, and we're going to hopefully see more of her just now. She's a beautiful little individual hyena, and sort of the central character, if you want, of this clan. The long necks, they've got actually very long necks. People don't always realize that, and that's partly to enable them to really get in there when they're competing for food around scavenging, and when there's lots of them busy scavenging around the carcass, get in there and, you know, get to the good stuff before they lose out. Also very, very strong front quarters, strong shoulders, strong necks, again for being able to, you know, wrestle with the food and pull it out. That's a very loud sound you can hear there. And I know that can sound a bit like interference sometimes, but that consistent, persistent buzzing is from a cicada, which is an insect, and they can make a lot of noise in summertime. Listen. Sorry, not the cicada. The hyena was going to call. Woodland kingfisher in the distance, that choo-choo. Beautiful sounds. But I tell you what, let's get closer, because these guys are very used to the vehicle, and we can go sit with them and spend a bit of time with hyenas. Speaking of spending time with animals, it's always a fantastic experience to spend, you know, an amount of time with a specific population of animals and really get to know them and get to tell an amazing story about them. And I don't know the details of it, but tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern time, so just now, there's a new premiere, and I'm sure it's going to be amazing because it's on this channel, and it's called Lion Gangland. So make sure you don't miss that, and I would love a bit of feedback from it as well. I'm sure it's brilliant. Hello guys. Push this little shrub down. That's what I always do when we get here. Just a good view. Alright, there's Ndapandula, the young female. I think this is the alpha female. We'll see just now. Oh, there's another one coming in the distance. You're not going to see it yet, but we might have some more vocalization just now, some more calling. Love that sound. It's these eerie sounds. I mean, you can hear that it's creatures of the night when they call. And this young one can be very curious. I wouldn't be surprised if she comes and has a look at us just now. You can see she's going to disappear probably behind the car. This is the front corner of the vehicle. The other hyenas walking around right behind us at the moment. Fortunately, can't be all or see all places all at once. We will stay with them and show you different views. I didn't see it properly as we came in. She was already lying down like this, but I think this is the pregnant female. And I'm wondering now, sorry, I'm guessing here because I didn't see her properly. Well, let's wait a little bit and see them properly. But there's a very, very heavily pregnant female in this clan, and I don't know if she's maybe had the cubs already. They typically have 2 cubs, but they're quite big when they're born, so we will clearly see if she is suckling already or not. The last time I saw her some days ago, she hadn't had them yet, but it was sort of, no, this is not her. Oh, this one's mother, perhaps. That's amazing. This one's mum. It's not the pregnant female. The way this female is lying really suggests to me that she wants that little one to suckle. And hyena cubs can suckle up to over a year old, 14, 15 months even. With most of your other big predators, they don't suckle nearly that long. But with the hyenas, that can be, as I said, over a year. This young female is, okay, now she's coming out again. She was right up against the front of the car, almost sniffing it. And we've now got, we'll turn in a bit, but for now this is the better view. We've got 2 adults behind us, and these two in front. So 3 adults and 1 youngster that we can see at the moment. Shall I go home? No, I'll come back out. Shall I go home? No, I'll come back out. These youngsters can quite often spend relatively long periods of time, even a day or two, in the den by themselves. So I think they really like it when the adults are back and there's some company. Oh, wow, she's going to suckle right in front of us here. I mean, they're literally feet away from us. Wow, this is just very endearing to see. This female is suckling her cub right in front of us. I mean, they are, let me get a good estimate, 8 feet, 9, 10 feet at the most in front of the vehicle. And this female just came in. Oh, listen, listen. Such strange animals, hyenas. I don't even know what that was about. And I've seen this often. I've sat with hyenas a lot of times, and all the animals that I like, and I like hyenas a lot. I mean, all the other big animals, you know, elephant I love. I've spent a lot of time with elephants, and you get to understand them eventually. The same with lions, same with leopards, you know, to an extent. But with hyenas, I've just always had this feeling like I never really get them. It's like they're from a, you know, whole different frame of reference, the way they think, the way they operate. Oops, sorry, that's my light that fell there. See if we can get a bit more light on there for you. And that just now, I mean, it was just bizarre because the female came right in front of us, and as I said, the cub was suckling. And we'll talk more about the suckling behavior now. It's very interesting. Hyenas suckle their cubs for a long time, more than a year. Much longer than other animals that you can compare them to. But And this other hyena walked over, and again, unfortunately, it's very difficult to say male or female with hyenas because the male and females are very, very similar. But that was almost like just, I mean, behaviorally, I can't say I saw anything specific there. There was no aggression really. It was more just to mess with them, and it might be the one that joined last. As I said, we've now got 3 adults around us, and this youngster in Lapundula, the female, the cub, she's about 4, probably closer to 5 months old. And one adult did join just sort of as we pulled in here, so maybe that was the one just coming over to say hello. But there was a bit of, again, not antagonism or aggression or anything. It was just sort of more just like random for me sometimes. And then it's maybe just because I don't understand them well enough. But you know, at the same time, I've been doing this for many, many years, and most other animals at some stage you start to get certain things, you know, you do. And I love behavior. Behavior is by far my most interesting aspect of animals. And hyenas, they just keep curveballing me. I like it. I quite enjoy not knowing what's going on sometimes. But yeah, it's I don't know. They're strange animals. Yeah, the other one's coming back again. Look, look. What is this? Oh. Whoa, what's going on here? Come on, guys. Settle down. It's like she's protecting the youngster from them, but this is all part of the same clan. I mean, that's also a young one. The one in front here is not very old. That's probably a year old, maybe just over a year. It's like she doesn't want him to go in there, but... Whoa! What is going on? Now, this is not fighting. They're not attacking her. This is not strange hyenas, but this is just some of the communication that they do that I just don't understand. But definitely there's a dominance thing here. This is all about dominance. With hyenas, position in the clan is everything. They're competing literally since birth. Hyena cubs have been known that the firstborn will start attacking the secondborn while it's being born. And it's all about position, all about standing in the group. Keep in mind with hyenas, all females outrank all the males. So your lowest ranking female is still higher ranked than the highest ranking male. Again, I will try and see, but I would presume that these are 2 females in the front. And there's the mother back there. The cub is out again. You can see there's the cubs poking her head out. I think they're just very often just very misunderstood by us. And not just historically in terms of the sort of stories that's been told about them. Hyenas have got a very bad rep, and they're actually great animals. But I think even in behavior. It's probably to do with the fact that females and males have got extremely similar looking sexual organs. So you don't see a difference easily, and behaviorally as well. They you know, the females behave in a very dominant fashion all the time. It's just very different. Hyenas had people studying them. I mean, scientists and people that studied them and spent time with them, baffled for a long time with their behavior. But what an amazing sighting! I mean, wow. I think we were all in concerned at one stage. It's such an unearthly sound that they make. But they are part of the same group. These are not strange hyenas. Then there would be very different interactions. So, as much as it looks very aggressive to us, look at these guys now. Now they're scanning the surroundings. Yeah, that was all just part of their normal interaction with each other. Also, this group haven't seen each other perhaps for a while. I mean, we've been visiting this den quite a few times over the last few days, and it's only since this morning, really, when Scott came here, that we saw there's nice activity. So speaking of activity, and this is what all of, you know, wildlife watching is fantastic for many reasons. Live safaris for many reasons, but when you really get down to seeing animals and seeing behavior, you can see amazing things over time, and that's what you're going to see tonight at 9 o'clock Eastern Time with Lion Gangland. Make sure you don't miss that. And at the same time, I'm so happy you didn't miss this, because this is beautiful interaction. You see the young one is right there. This is all about who's who in the zoo kind of thing, you know, just saying, hey, I'm bigger than you. Don't forget, I'm more important. No, you're more important. Just this constant bickering in the group. But that was a great way to end the drive. Lots of action and great sounds. I love the sounds hyenas make. But for now, we are almost at the end of drive. So I'm going to say goodnight from myself, Peter Pretorius, from HT and Brian earlier that you were with the elephant, and VM behind the camera, all the guys back in control. Thank you so much for an awesome drive. And I'm just happy that we had such a fantastic ending. Let's enjoy these hyenas for the last few minutes, seconds that we have left, really. And we'll see you tomorrow.